Good morning, everybody. So it's the day after Labor Day, and when I came down this morning, I got my coffee, came out onto the porch. I love to sit on the porch in the morning. It was only 55 degrees. So it was a little chilly. It's warmed up a little bit now. It's in the low 60s, but it really got me thinking, boy, fall is upon us. And then also, while I'm sipping my coffee, I'm sitting here and I saw my very first V formation of geese heading south. So it's definitely time for me to start thinking about wrapping up my garden projects and getting things prepped for the fall. So that brings me to what I want to do today. So today is going to be moving day for my plants. I had been putting it off a little bit because my Medusa Allium still have beautiful blooms on them and the pollinators are still loving it. But in the last rainstorm, it really got beat down and the blooms just never rebounded. They're all laying on the ground. So I think that I'm going to get everything moved, because that way too, it's going to have, the plants are going to have a little bit of time to have their roots kind of get established before we get into hard frost. So they'll have all of September and probably October to really get rooted in, and I think that they'll stand the best chance of surviving. So I'm going to take it down into the willow bed, look at all the plants that we're going to move, and get on it. So let's go. I'm starting down here at the bottom of the willow bed, and starting with the Medusa Allium. As you can see, the pollinators are still loving this plant, and they'll find it in the back fenced garden. But I think part of the problem here is that I'm going to pan up to show you how much it is covered by the willow tree. And this happens a lot in gardens, that you will have an area that as your tree grows, something that started out more in sun will get more shade, and so you have to kind of move these plants that need more sun to a sunnier location, and vice versa. If you lose a tree and you have, God forbid, if I ever lost this willow tree, all of these shade loving things underneath, I would have to relocate somewhere else because they would then be in full sun. So that's a natural thing that happens in gardens. Things change all the time. Gardens are not a set it and forget it type of thing. They're always evolving, they're always changing, you're always moving things around. So this is just part of that natural life cycle. I want to relocate this Medusa Allium somewhere where it's sunnier, so that I think that the stalks will be stronger and grow straighter next year, and maybe not be so susceptible to heavy rains. I don't know. It's a speculation, but I think that it will do better in more of a full sun area. So that's plant number one. Right next to it is a Stelladoro Lily, and it's looking a little bit, you know, getting some brown leaves that I'm going to pull out, and it's done blooming for the year, but I think this could do better in more of a full sun area. So this is going to get moved. So that's two plants. And then behind it, I have all of my old-fashioned gold iris. I don't know the name of them. I brought them with me from, oh gosh, 2 houses ago when we leased our farm. These were there, and these are, I think, a very old variety, but they are very prolific. They have spread like crazy, and I dug some out and gave some to a neighbor earlier this year. But I'm going to pull out a bunch more of these. And these actually, even though they like sun, they are fine here, because in the springtime, the willow tree doesn't leaf out till quite late. So this gets a lot of sun in the early spring. So bulbs are fine here. The iris is fine here, because that blooms out earlier in the summer. So this is a fine place for them to stay, but there's just too many of them. And also, I want to get better at succession planting. And that's where you plant things that bloom one after another in succession. So I want to do something that, I'm trying to think of what I want to do. I think I want to pull out a lot of stuff from the edges and leave like more of a clump of the iris in the middle, and then plant something, you know, in these areas where I'm pulling out the Medusa Allium and the Stelladoro Lily that are more shade loving, so that I'll have, you know, the iris come up, and then as that fades, I'll have something coming in around the edge that's more shade loving and will do better in this location. So that's the plan. I'm going to pull out a whole bunch of iris and I'm going to plant that around back where it's going to get more sun. So that should be a good thing. And then also in this bed, I love these little miniature hostas. And I have this one in front. And I'm going to step across the bed here. From the street, you can see I have these two. But I kind of think they're too small for this location and they're getting lost. So I'm going to pull out these two little miniature hostas. And I think I'm going to put them across the walk there on either side of that larger hosta right there. So I think that's the plan. I'm going to pull those out, put those there. And then the final thing I'm going to move in this bed is this poor little straggly mum here that my husband thought was a weed. So it's got buds on it, but I think it would do better if I moved it over next to this larger one right here. It'll kind of blend in with this larger one and it'll maybe get a little bit more sun than it does over here. I don't know. Not that it really needs it, because you'll see that the other mum that I have over there that's shaded is doing well and blooming, and so is this guy here. So very pretty, nice early fall color, which I'm very appreciative of. So I'm going to move that little guy from there over to here, and I think that should work pretty well. And then I'm going to move these other things into the back fenced garden, because there are spaces there that I have planted nothing, because sometimes I have just a little bit of a block about what I want in an area, so I'll just leave it blank for a while before I can kind of wrap my mind around what I want to put in that area. This little miniature rudbeckia, again, I don't know the name of it because it was here when we moved in, but I just moved that not too long ago into this spot because it's getting a little bit more sun, because it was over here right by my hose pot, but it was just like, it was like right down in there, which, you know, it was getting eclipsed, but also I need to put my foot there when I go to get my hose out. So it was just not a very opportune space for this poor little plant, and it was just like struggling. So I thought I'd move it over here where I had more breathing room and maybe a little bit more light, and I think it was good because it seems to be happy there. But it does have some spots on the leaves now that I'm seeing this. So I think I'm going to hit it with a systemic drench. Yeah, and there's something chewing on the leaves too, and I'll spray it with, hi Avery, I hear you on the other side of the fence. And I'm gonna hit it with some Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew tonight after the sun goes down. So that was a successful move, I think. Alrighty, so into the back garden. Hey Avery. Hi buddy. Hello, how are you this morning? You good? Yes, I know. All right, so the areas where I was thinking about moving the allium and the Stelladoro lilies is over here along this back fence area. It's shady right now, but most of the day it's very sunny, so it'll get a lot of good sun there. So I'm gonna move those there, and actually right here there's a space that I wanted to put something, but I don't think either of those are gonna, I don't think I want to put them there. I'll think about it a little bit more. I might actually put the Stelladoro lily right there. I don't know. I could do that, and I could put the allium there too. I could put the allium there and the Stelladoro lily there. It would be a good height. All right, I'm gonna have to think about this. See how my plans change like on the fly. And then also the other thing I want to move is this nepeta. It's just a little piece that I took off of this larger plant. It's got the pretty purple flowers, and this is just, you know, earlier in the season this blooms really nice. But I think that this is a little too shady here, so I'm going to pull that out, and maybe I would put a little bit of that over there. I could do that. So I'm going to think about that. Either I'll put the Nepeta over there, or I could put, oh, you know what? I could maybe put the Nepeta here in front of the phlox and in front of the Coreopsis. Maybe I'll do that. I think I'll do that. I'll put the Nepeta over here. All right, so that is the game plan. So I am going to get cracking on this. I wanted to take a minute to show you guys close up what an iris bulb looks like. Actually, I'm not sure if they're called bulbs or tubers or rhizomes. I'll have to look that up and I'll put it on the screen what the proper name is. But it almost looks like a foot. So it's got this flat part here, and this has to get put down into the ground, and then it makes roots. So it's almost like you put it flat and it grows roots, and then the flowers come up this way. So it's very interesting. It's a different kind of a way than what you would think. But yeah, so kind of cool. And then just kind of nestle it down in there like that so the roots can be in contact with the earth. But iris are like pretty hardy and they almost like to be abused, I think. They live, you know, in rocky soil, like, you know, you just don't fuss with them that much. And they just take off. They're just, you know, they're a really cool flower that can be neglected and just like thrive. So anyway, I'm just leaving these pretty much in the clumps, like I dug them up, and kind of arranging some of these that are loose to be out further. And we'll see how these do in the spring. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I got everything watered in and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this looks in the spring. I think it's going to look really great with the 2 clumps of iris on either side of the allium. And of course the allium comes in later, so it'll just be kind of like nice strappy leaves on either side. But that's going to look good, I think. So fingers crossed that they all root in well and come up nice in the spring. I think they'll look nice against the white fence too. So I actually decided to put the allium over here instead of over here where I had thought I was going to earlier. But when I started digging the hole, it dawned on me that, you know what, these allium might grow up and be a little bit too high and start interfering with the Rudbeckia. And then I remembered, gosh, these are probably going to be reaching for the light here, just like they were doing underneath the willow. So I wanted to put them a little bit more in a full sun location. So this does get late day sun, but I feel like if I put the allium here, they would have been reaching and I would have had them being floppy just like they were underneath the willow. So instead I decided to move that little bunch of Nepeta over here because it will get more sun here than it did over in this location here. So I know that it will have more space and it will get more sun here, so it's probably gonna, you know, bush out and be more the size of this this bunch here. So I think that that's going to look better. And then I do still have to, you know, clean up this bunch of Stelladoro lilies. But I think that that is going to look really good there in the spring and early summer. I think this is going to be a much better location for these guys. So we'll see. If not, you know, we can always move them again. But also too, I just wanted to show you, these are opening up so nice. Aren't they the prettiest variety of Rudbeckia? I just love them. They're just like little like fireworks. I love them. They're so pretty. All right, guys. Well, that was a very productive morning and I'm happy with how that came out. That's going to be great there. Hi, Avery. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of the day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.